and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Old, senile, dementia-ridden, Alzheimer's heavyweight champion Joe Biden lies again. I mean, he just look. You know, when you have that loved one of yours who's like really old and they're telling a story, and at least 30% of it's true, but the rest, is just out there. Well, Biden, now look, even when he was somewhat coherent, I don't think he's ever been able to be coherent his entire life, but at least before his dementia was full blown, he made a whole history of lying. I mean, before George Santos, Joe Biden was a true avatar of Congress, and all these politicians are scumbag liars. But now Biden lies about a university job. Hey, Jack, listen. When I was a young man during the Civil War, I stormed the beaches of Normandy with my M249 saw, with Julius Caesar, Elvis, and Marilyn Monroe. People weren't ready for us, man. We took on the Soviets, and then came Genghis Khan. And Genghis Khan had his friend, Corn Pop. And I remember Corn Pop because he was a bad dude. And I said, hey, Corn Pop, don't be bad. So let's talk about this. Hang on. Okay, I'm having too much fun with Joe Biden being a senile old goat. Here, this is an article from RT just to trigger the liberals, to own the libs. Biden lies about a university job. U.S. President Joe Biden faced fresh criticism on Friday for claiming to have taught at the University of Pennsylvania. Oh, man, Biden's off his meds again. While the school paid him almost $1 million over 3 years for a bespoke position, there is no record of him actually teaching a class. I taught at the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years, and I used to teach political theory. Oh, God. And folks, you always hear every generation has to fight for democracy, Biden said on Thursday in a meandering speech at the Prince George Community College in Maryland. Again, Biden was paid $1 million, but he never taught a single class, the Republican National Committee said in response. Again, University of Pennsylvania hired Biden in 2017 after he left the White House as Barack Obama's vice president. Records published in the Philadelphia Inquirer in 2019 showed Biden getting paid $371,159 in 2017 and $540,000 in 2018, a vaguely defined role that involved no regular classes, around a dozen public appearances on campus. So in other words, he had a no-show job. Fucking A, goddamn. These politicians, they're worse than the mob. I mean, listen, obviously, I mean, if you watch Sopranos or the film Goodfellas or Casino, like, firsthand, you never have to ask the mob for money. You don't get in their way or anything like that. I mean, hell, don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. But Jesus Christ, these politicians, these are the psychopaths that are writing the rules and laws. The reason why things are so bad, Joe Biden and his fantastic friends are running a racketeering job. This is a no-show job. He was at the University of Pennsylvania just showing up. Right? Hey, it's me, Joe Biden, then walking back to the office. That's what he's getting paid for. A job for nothing. I wonder how many times he actually showed up on campus like, hey, Jack, it's Joe Biden. I wonder. Hold on. Let's check this out. Listen to his title. This is how you know it's bullshit. This is how you know it's bull. Biden's official title was, I hope you're sitting down. Hold on. Biden's official title was the Benjamin Franklin Presidential Professor of Practice. Let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 if you think that's a legitimate title. Type 2, man, that's on par with the Director of Food and Beverages, man. If you watch Casino, you know what I'm talking about. The Benjamin Franklin Presidential Professor of Practice? What is that? What is that title? That's a BS title if I ever heard one. What is this? Okay, hang on. Let's go further. Let's see. And he's the only person to ever hold that post. The failed Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush was also employed as a non-Franklin presidential professor of practice from 2018 to 2020. Oh, Jeb. Oh, Jeb. Mommy, I need a job. Okay. Oh, Ronnie Mitchell writes in the chat, chill out, Kit. He was buddies with Benjamin Franklin and one time, hence the title. That's right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Very, very true. I'm sorry. I guess I was wrong. So again, according to the University of Pennsylvania student newspaper, Biden appeared at 3 question and answer sessions with the university president, panels discussing immigration and cancer, and talk about his book, a lecture at the Wharton School of Business, and public appearances with former Mexican President Felipe Calderon and former British Deputy Prime Minister and now President of Global Affairs at Facebook, Nick Clegg. Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. It sounds like a great group of people. Again, Biden has a long history of misspeaking and embellishing his biography. His University of Pennsylvania claim was on many gaffes just this week, starting with the Rocky press conference in Vietnam. Remember that the president has lied about being at ground zero the day after September 11th attacks, falsely claimed he saw the Pittsburgh Bridge collapse, claimed his grandfather died in the hospital days before his birth. What's going on with this president? Is he just believing things that didn't happen, did happen, or is he just randomly making stuff up? Yeah, it sucks. His age is scaring people. Shout out to Glenn Greenwald. Let's listen to some real sanity here.
Poll after poll after poll shows that the perception of the overwhelming majority of American citizens is that the economy is poor, it's likely to get worse, and they blame Joe Biden for the mishandling of that economy. And once that perception emerges, it's extremely difficult to reverse, especially within just a 1 year time period, because it's very unlikely something dramatic will happen that will change that. And that is what I think is responsible more than anything else for the obvious panic that the liberal establishment, the Democratic Party, all of their media allies, all of their allies in Washington have, that they're looking at all these indictments they brought against President Trump. It doesn't seem to be harming his numbers at all. If anything, in the Republican primary, it's strengthening them. At the same time, the concerns over Joe Biden's age and simultaneously his inability to produce economic prosperity in a way that gives people confidence about their future is weakening almost every month.
On top of that, let's play this video segment here too. Many people are upset. They're canceled. They're not only are they canceling their association with the Biden-Harris administration, more people are seeing that something's wrong with Joe Biden. He exhibits the signs. Look, I've had loved ones go through mental deterioration, all right? Suffer through dementia, suffer through Alzheimer's, all right? When you reach your 80s, I mean, that's it. I mean, congratulations. You got to a point, to where, you got to that high number. Not many people have that opportunity of getting there. But also, you're no spring chicken, and you shouldn't be sitting on the throne of the most powerful office in human history.
Glenn Greenwald is an award-winning journalist.
Don't tell that to Anna Kasparian.
Who I cannot wait to hear what he thinks about the Ignatius bombshell. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, I was in doubt about this narrative until David Ignatius got on board with it, because as you adeptly pointed out, there is no member of the media more loyal to the CIA and to its narratives than he. Pretty much, if David Ignatius' mouth is moving, it means the CIA is talking. That's been his entire career. I do, though, think it's worth remembering, Jesse, that in 2018 and 2019, Democrats were also very worried about Joe Biden. They started doing a very similar thing. They started saying, look, Joe Biden is not really cognitively the same as what he used to be. We're very worried that Democrats are going to reward him for being loyally at Obama's side. But then once Biden got the nomination, they immediately forgot about that, united behind Biden, and started saying anyone who mentions his...
We remember that. There was a lot of criticism towards Biden's age until Obama made that phone call on that dreaded Super Tuesday.
Cognitive decline is being immoral, even though it came from them in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I think really what this is people are genuinely worried that polls are so dangerous and alarming for Joe Biden from a Democratic Party perspective. They kind of see this as the last opportunity to get rid of him.
You're right, because of the calendar. You can't do this next year. It's got to be done before Thanksgiving. And if they ramp up these impeachment inquiries and they start airing this dirty laundry everywhere, the voicemails, the texts, the emails, the phone call, it is a disaster for the entire Washington establishment and everyone that's been lying about this and covering it up. Do you think this is a way for them to say, you know what, let's not make all of us look bad. You can just maybe go on your way?
I think it's a combination of those things. I think obviously the people who really know the truth about what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were doing in Ukraine are the people inside the intelligence community, and this is where it's emanating from. I also really think, though, that Joe Biden's brain is turning into jello, and so is his body. And the more time that goes by, the worse that gets. That's I don't know what drugs exist.
Well, again, I do have to wonder the cocktail, or maybe the cocktail's no longer working. Look. This is the president of the United States, right? He's supposed to represent us as a nation as a whole. When he's on the stage, he doesn't know where he's going. And when he is speaking into the microphone, he rambles on. He has a script. He tells people, hey, I need to follow this or I'm going to get in trouble. You know, a part of me wants to go up there and say, who's going to hurt you? How are you going to get in trouble, Biden? Are you going to get smacked around? Are you going to be yelled at? You're the president of the United States. The buck stops with you. You're the chief. You're the commander. You're in charge of this whole shindig. And you are going to get in trouble with who? Your wife, Jill? Kamala? Booty juice? Who? The answer is who? See, this is what happens when you have people suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. The reason why Biden is a laughingstock is because you had a lot of brain-dead Democrats, social justice warriors, liberals, corporate hack frauds, and anyone else that was really offended that Trump won in 2016 install a man that has no business whatsoever in power because he was on the decline. This is elder abuse. And I really hate making this somewhat defense for Biden because I despise him. I think he's been on the wrong side of history, but this is clearly somebody who's being abused. This is the truth of it. This isn't open for a debate. And if there's a liberal who gets offended, well, what aren't you offended at these days, okay? No, seriously, liberals, what aren't you offended about now? I mean, something's going to offend you. I could fart in your general direction and you define it as a war crime, okay? Okay, maybe I'm being too mean to liberals, but I mean, seriously, you reap what you sow. And I know what a lot of these liberals are going to do. We got to help Biden because Trump.
To hide that for a debate, but I don't think there are any anymore. I think there are some people who are going to just say, let's be all in with Biden, hope that the country hates Trump enough, and there's enough drama around Trump that people don't pay attention to Biden. But I think you're absolutely right to point out that there are very influential sectors within the Democratic Party now trying to sabotage him. It's the first time we're seeing really negative press in the media because of it.
You're right about the intel guys might be seeing him during these briefings and realize that he might not make it, which is going to give us Kamala way, way too soon.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Look, to their credit, both RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson, when they launched their campaigns, they filed it before the deadline date, right? Now, there is somewhat of a grace period in which if the Democratic establishment wanted to, in theory, not in theory, they can because they're a private institution. They could do whatever they want. They could break the rules. Nico House already proved that, as did so many others. They could put in somebody else. And I think with this impeachment inquiry, the scandal surrounding Hunter Biden, Biden's own mental decline, the fact that Kamala's not really popular either, they're going to open the door for somebody to step up. Now, if they want to make things easier for themselves, they'll probably pick Kamala. But if you're a Democratic operative, you're up there in the chain. Listen, let me give you a little bit of free advice. Look at me. Hang on. Let me go ahead and remove it because I want to look you directly in the eyes. If you're a liberal Democrat operative, you're up there in the chain of command. Let's just go back to 2019 on Martin Luther King Day when Kamala, the cop Harris, made her announcement. It was a big bang. Black woman running for president. Identity politics. Check, 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 check. Okay, I'm not going to apologize the way I'm talking because F you. All right, I know you're a liberal Democrat. I'm offending you. Good. Remember, start off with a bang, end with a fizzle. All right, and you're going to have to come to terms with this. Listen very carefully. Tulsi Gabbard, not once but twice, destroyed her during the debate stage. Right before the first primary vote was ever cast out. Another thing, her campaign went belly up. It went broke, bankrupt, because nobody liked her. Nobody liked Kamala. And finally, Kamala's record. Just because she's black, just because she's a woman, you think that's going to resonate with black voters? And you think that's going to resonate with voters in general? Kamala, people don't like her. And don't hide behind the identity politics because he did that with Hill Dog. And it failed, all right? So if you want to do something, Democrats, you're going to have to pick somebody else. Now, again, your whole field of people you got are lackluster, but Kamala's approval rating is lower than Biden's. This is a fact. It's not open for debate.
And so this is a way to kind of short circuit it early. Glenn, thank you so much. I always appreciate your analysis.
Good to be with you, Jesse.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
All right, I don't want to talk to you, Sean Hannity. But now, folks, let's talk about this because here, again, not only is Biden's age an issue, but his son as well. Now, Caitlin Collins is about to be shocked because Nancy Mace takes CNN to Biden crime family school. Caitlin Collins is going to be shocked on CNN. Probably the most entertainment segment there is on a lackluster show.
There's a difference between an impeachment vote and an inquiry. The inquiry would give us another tool.
Caitlin, can you have more animation? You just seem like a statue, like Mitch McConnell. You just stare.
In the toolbox specifically to look at Joe Biden's bank records. Everyone's screaming about the evidence. Where's the evidence? The bank records hold all of the evidence. And if the American people, Caitlin, if you could see the suspicious activity reports that I have seen on the Biden family, you would probably support an impeachment inquiry just as a tool to get more information on specifically the bank information, bank records of Joe Biden and his family members. That's an important tool in our toolbox.
Why does there need to be an impeachment inquiry if there's already several ongoing investigations?
Yeah, great question. My understanding is it will give us access to Joe Biden's bank records. And if we can connect the dots and show the American people where the bribery allegations stand, where the money laundering stands, showing through vis-a-vis the bank records, that is a way to do that. If you could see what I have seen, then we can't share the SARS reports because they're confidential and that would be against the law. So we have to prove it via other means, via the bank records, for example. If that gets us Joe Biden's bank records, then I'm going to support it because everyone should know what actually happened, what kind of businesses were involved, how Joe Biden was involved, the kind of money that was involved in these schemes is astounding. You would be shocked.
Yep. And so now Biden's team is going to have to start defending him more so. I really feel sorry for the press secretary. Actually, I don't. Because after all, we're going to find out how 80 is a new 40.
It's great. You've seen all the public polling, people concerned about age. How does the president plan to convince the American people over the next year that 80 is not too old for someone who's running for re-election?
80 is the new 40. Didn't you hear?
Oh, my God. 80 is the new 40. No, it's not. 80 is 80. 40 is 40. Two different things altogether. Listen, Dianne Feinstein doesn't know where she's at. Mitch McConnell goes on shutdown mode. Nancy is happy to run again for office. These people shouldn't be in power. What's wrong with you? 80's a new 40? You're the White House press secretary, and you're there smiling. She knows she's lying, too. Here, let's rewind it.
Public polling, people concerned about age. How does the president plan to convince the American people over the next year that 80 is not too old for someone who's running for re-election?
80 is the new 40. Didn't you hear? Look, it is.
Get ready for this heavy hitter answer.
I get asked this question about once a week, maybe twice a week. I don't know. I've lost track.
Because it's a legit question. Hey, Biden just crapped his pants and he's blaming the president of France. Hold on. Better yet, how about this one? Let me do a rewind. Biden just crapped his pants and he's blaming Xi Jinping. We might have World War III because Biden doesn't know how his own sphincter works anymore.
This is a president, if you think about it, in 2019, he got the same criticism. In
2019, he was somewhat better, okay? But again, everybody saw the criticism. Everyone saw it, and everyone tried to hide it. Corporate media. Now you can't hide it anymore. Watch. There's going to be a situation, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm just speculating here. I'm just shooting from the hip. But there might be an incident where Biden, in his senile confusion, while on stage, might pull down his pants, pull his cock out, and urinate on the stage. I wouldn't put it past us to see Biden do that because he's so senile.
He got the same criticism. In 2022, he got the same criticism. And every time he beats the naysayers, every time he does above and beyond and makes history in doing that.
Yeah, history of being a senile old man who doesn't know where he's at, coming up and making fabricated stories. Again, lady, do you think we're stupid? Because obviously these politicians must think we're stupid, that we're not paying attention, like, at all. I've seen older relatives act like Biden. Okay, no, not creepy like that, but be mentally declining. Okay, vast difference. But come on, lady, get over yourself.
That others are not able to do, right? And I think that's really important too. You look at his record, you look at he's been able to bring both sides together to get some really important things done. That matters. If you think about what the president and the vice president was able to do in 2020, 80 million votes, more than any other ticket in history. And they did that in 2020. And so, I get the question on age. Certainly we all do. But what we're going to continue to talk about is the record that this president has had. It's been a historic record. It is something that's going to change the lives of Americans. You think about his economic policy, you think about the infrastructure plan, you think about, I was just talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, whether it's EV, fighting climate crisis, whether it's lowering drug.
Again, things that are not helping out regular citizens, okay? Because again, we have massive inflation, economic instability, and so much more.
Cost, because now Medicare is able to fight big pharma. All of these things are things that president before this president have been trying to do for years and years and years and have not been able to do that. And so that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on how can we continue to do big things and how we're going to build on the successes that this president has had in the last 2 years.
Given all that, everything you just listed, why do you think so many Americans still say they have concerns about someone in their 80s being president?
I can't speak to every American out there.
I'll tell you why Americans are bringing it up. Because again, just want to address it. This is elder abuse that we're witnessing. And number two, healthcare. Yeah, that's right. For those of you, I'm pretty sure some of you are in my audience, have to take care of an older relative. We know the cost of it, but we also see what happens to them. It is not an easy thing to watch someone go through that decline. It's painful when they forget things. It's painful to see when they forget you. And there's no maliciousness. Hey, it's just the body fails us. Now, some old people are lucky. They still have their wits, even at their end. Others do not. And so when Americans see that, and they call it out, it's because they know what the signs look like. I've seen those signs. I still remember my grandparents, my Uncle Bernie, my grandmother being in their prime. But I also remember the end, when they forgot, when they were incapable of taking care of themselves. The office of President of the United States is the most powerful office in human history. And that means that person who sits on the throne takes care of us all, represents us all. And there's a fear now of when you see that person who doesn't know where they're at, who has to be handled like a child, treated like a child. That's the kind of power Joe Biden shows to the world. One of helplessness. And so, for many of us who used to be or still are caretakers, there is concern. How do we go forward with somebody who doesn't know where they're at anymore? This press secretary who's speaking before us is a goddamn liar. The worst of the worst, and she's covering up it too. I'm tired of pretending that this isn't real. I'm tired of placating to liberals. Liberals, you have an old dog in the White House. I know that offends you and you're offended by Trump. But tell me, what kind of so big, fantastic, big brain tactics are you going to come up with to bully us to vote for the old dog? Because no matter what you say, I encourage my audience not to vote Democrat, not to vote Republican. And if Biden still remains the nominee, I encourage my audience not to support elder abuse.
There and their concerns. What I can speak to is what this president has done, right? I can speak to his experience. I can speak to the wisdom that he has. I can speak to his record. When it comes to how Americans, what they're saying about your particular question to me, that's for them to speak to. I can just stay on our message, the platform that we're trying to push forward, and that is delivering for the American people. We believe that we're doing that. You just heard the president talk about Bidenomics and how it's building a middle class, right, from the bottom up, middle out, and how because of the economic policies that we've seen some historic growth, right? The 3.5 million jobs, unemployment under 4%. All of these things matter, and making sure that inflation is being moderated, and that's what we've seen. So all of these things are important. I get the question, but what we're going to focus on is how we're going to continue to build on this president's.
Yep. Now, of course, hey, let's have a humorous note. There was a reporter right after this press event. He asked her, "Hey, is your breakup affecting your job?" Just adding in here because it's funny.
Weekend. See some of you in New York.
It's not affecting your job. Is your breakup affecting your job?
Hey, we all have those moments. But again, hey, here's the leader of the free world.
Thank you very much. That's all I'm going to say. Thank
Mr.
you.
President, at what point would you get directly involved in negotiations? Should Hunter get a pardon, Mr. President?
That's Joe 30330. But why not? Hey, listen. He may seem senile all the time, but when it comes time to sell that coffee mug of his, you get stuff like this. Hey, folks, this is the leader of the free world.
I think you should buy this mug. I'll ask you nicely, but he won't.
Again, horrible marketing. Yeah, that'll bring in the voters. Hey, Kamala, how are things looking at your end?
Okay, he's drinking it. I put cleaning products in his prune juice. Tell everyone. It's gonna work before the prune juice does. Hopefully. 2024, here I come. He's doing jumping jacks on the front lawn. If he drank it today, he should have been dead yesterday. Now he's gonna be alive tomorrow. No chlorine bleach, no ammonia, no formaldehyde, no parabens. This was made in America. Switch to America. Unless poison is what you want.
So as a final note for this, folks, look, we have an old dog in the White House who has to go, all right? And I hate every single minute of it. I'm here sitting in my room, and I want to scream to the top of my lungs, But maybe, I don't know, things will turn around. Maybe there's still light in this dark, bleak world. But I won't hold my breath anytime soon.